Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. Hu Shi was one of the leading figures of the New Culture movement. From 1946 to 1948, the 35th to 37th year of the Republic of China. He also served as the president of Peking University. At that time, Hu Shi was a household name, everyone knew him. Even Chiang Kai-shek, upon meeting him, would show respect. Moreover, Hu Shi not only had a strong personality and a proud spirit, but he was also a prominent cultural figure during the Republic of China era, attracting the admiration of many women. Whether they were beautiful, flower-like beauties, or talented women, Hu Shi was always surrounded by many women. However, what was surprising was that such a seemingly perfect man married a woman who was not highly educated and had bound feet, Jiang Dongxiu. According to some historical records, in 1923, Hu Shi attempted to maintain a long-term, improper relationship with Cao Chengying and even requested a divorce from his wife. Upon hearing this news, Jiang Dongxiu was furious. She grabbed a kitchen knife and rushed toward Hu Shi, shouting, "If you want a divorce, fine, but first I will kill our two sons and then kill myself." Hu Shi, terrified by the scene, was at a loss for what to do. He immediately changed his mind, begging for mercy, saying, "I won't divorce, I won't divorce." Additionally, it is worth mentioning that one day, while Jiang Dongxiu was playing cards, she heard a piece of news. Peking University professor Liang Zongdai was having an affair with the talented woman Chen and planned to divorce his wife, Heroine Jiang. This news made Jiang Dongxiu stop playing cards immediately and rushed to find Heroine Jiang. Jiang Dongxiu learned that Heroine Jiang was a plain, uneducated woman who often felt neglected and ignored by her husband. Although she did not want a divorce, she lacked the strength to oppose her husband and could only be manipulated by Liang Zongdai. Jiang Dongxiu decided to help her, telling Heroine Jiang that if she wanted a divorce, she must ensure Liang Zongdai paid a large alimony. At the time, Hu Shi was the president of Peking University, and he felt this request was reasonable. Therefore, he decided to mediate and asked Liang Zongdai to pay the alimony. However, Liang Zongdai claimed he was unable to pay and, in the end, the two could only resolve the divorce issue through legal means. In court, Liang Zongdai appeared very confident. He openly admitted to the affair, justifying his relationship with Chen as love. He depicted his marriage to Heroine Jiang as unhappy and worthless, while exaggerating his romance with Chen into a heart-wrenching love story. Liang Zongdai successfully shaped himself as a victim of oppression, earning some sympathy from the public. However, after Liang Zongdai's statement, Jiang Dongxiu was not intimidated. She stood up immediately and directly questioned him, "If you dislike traditional arranged marriages, why did you agree to marry her in the first place? If you think this marriage is unfortunate, why did you stay with her for so many years?" Her sharp and direct questions weakened Liang Zongdai's defense. Then, Jiang Dongxiu gave a passionate, over half-hour speech in court, successfully refuting all of Liang Zongdai's defenses, leaving him completely embarrassed in front of everyone. In the end, the court ruled in favor of Heroine Jiang, and the divorce case was won. This incident caused a great stir. Liang Zongdai could no longer stay at Peking University and was forced to flee to Japan with Chen. However, many literary figures' first wives supported Jiang Dongxiu's heroic spirit, believing that she fought for the dignity of many vulnerable women. As a result, Jiang Dongxiu became famous overnight, gaining widespread respect. At the same time, those women who had special intentions toward Hu Shi began to keep their distance, fearing Jiang Dongxiu. According to other historical records, Hu Shi and Jiang Dongxiu, perhaps due to the differences of the times, shared a common trait with many of the talented figures of the Republic of China era. They all had, to some extent, engaged in affairs during their marriages. Hu Shi was no exception. By today's standards, many of these famous figures, especially teachers, would be considered morally flawed and might even lose their credentials. Although Hu Shi was one of the main advocates of the New Culture movement, his wife, Jiang Dongxiu, was a strong-willed woman. In the fierce conflict between the original wife and the mistress, Hu Shi gradually fell into a disadvantage and was completely under his wife's control. In the end, despite the many difficulties, they remained together and spent their lives together. Zhang Ailing once commented on them, Hu Shi and Jiang Dongxiu are one of the rare happy cases in arranged marriages. Jiang Dongxiu was a product of the old feudal society. She was a traditional, small-footed lady, raised under the constraints of feudal rights. Though she never attended school, with her sharp mind, she taught herself some reading and writing. Hu Shi's marriage to Jiang Dongxiu was an arranged one. After their engagement, Hu Shi went to the United States to continue his studies. As an outstanding scholar who was well-versed in both Chinese and Western cultures, Hu Shi encountered Western new ideas during his time abroad, which made him strongly resist traditional, arranged marriages. In the U.S., Hu Shi fell in love with an American woman and even considered breaking off his engagement. However, when his mother found out, she strongly opposed the dissolution of the engagement. In that era, breaking off an engagement could severely damage the reputation of both parties, especially for women, who could hardly withstand such a blow. Jiang Dongxiu knew that there was a significant gap in education between her and Hu Shi. Hu Shi was brilliant, with knowledge as vast as the sea. Yet, she did not complain but silently bore the situation and made sacrifices in order to take care of her in-laws. She even moved into Hu Shi's home and took on the responsibility of looking after the family. Hu Shi was a very filial person, and his mother's authority left him unable to refuse. In such a context, Hu Shi eventually returned to China and married Jiang Dongxiu. On Hu Shi and Cao Chengying. The first meeting between Hu Shi and Cao Chengying took place at his wedding to Jiang Dongxiu. On December 30, 1917, Hu Shi and Jiang Dongxiu were married in Cixi, Anhui. According to local customs in southern Anhui, the groom's family needed to select 4 unmarried women to serve as bridesmaids. Hu Shi's family selected 4 young and beautiful women to accompany the bride, and Cao Chengying was one of them. She was also the younger sister of Hu Shi's third sister-in-law. At that time, they simply exchanged pleasantries, marking their first encounter. A few years later, in April 1923, Hu Shi went to Shanghai to attend a meeting of the new educational system curriculum drafting committee. During the break, Hu Shi decided to visit Hangzhou and took the opportunity to visit the divorced Cao Chengying. Hu Shi stayed in Hangzhou for 5 days, with Cao Chengying constantly by his side. The time they spent together quickly deepened their feelings, and their relationship grew more intimate. Before leaving, Hu Shi wrote a poem called West Lake, which subtly hinted that Cao Chengying was the woman he had feelings for, further cementing their relationship. Afterward, Hu Shi returned to Shanghai to continue attending the new educational system meetings. Despite this, they maintained a steady correspondence, and Hu Shi became deeply immersed in his gentle feelings for Cao Chengying. After the meetings concluded, Hu Shi, using his privilege as a Peking University professor and taking advantage of his once every 5 years vacation, went back to Hangzhou. He rented a room in a monk's temple at Xianxia Cave. And at that time, Hangzhou Women's Normal School was on summer break. Cao Chengying visited Hu Shi under the pretext of caring for his health. There, their feelings quickly intensified, developing into a deeper relationship. However, in 1949, Hu Shi decided to go to the United States despite Cao Chengying's objections, severing their ties thereafter. On Hu Shi and Xu Fang. Xu Fang was born in 1912 in Wuxi, Jiangsu. She was the great-granddaughter of the famous Qing Dynasty scientist Xu Shou, and the granddaughter of Xu Jianyin, a prominent figure during the late Qing reform movement. Xu Fang attended the Chinese department at Peking University, graduating in 1935. She had a romantic entanglement with Hu Shi, but Hu Shi always regarded her as a student. When Hu Shi was teaching at Peking University, many students and admirers wrote to him to express their admiration. During a move, Hu Shi found himself with 2 large boxes of letters. Initially intending to throw them away, Jiang Dongxiu insisted on keeping them. One day, as she was organizing the letters, she discovered love letters from Xu Fang to Hu Shi. She then wrote to Hu Shi to inquire about Xu Fang's identity. Hu Shi replied, explaining that over the course of 2 years, he had only written 1 letter to advise Xu Fang, and aside from that letter, he had not done anything inappropriate toward Jiang Dongxiu. Commentaries from historians. Some historians have commented that in ancient China, women were often confined within the framework of traditional rites and customs. The 3 obediences and 4 virtues became their life guidelines. They spent most of their time at home and could rarely escape the confines of family life even as they grew old. Even if they were talented, their abilities were often ignored by their husbands and, in some cases, they were ruthlessly abandoned. However, Jiang Dongxiu did not succumb to this traditional oppression. She was outspoken and determined, and with her fierce character and remarkable intelligence, she began her marriage defense battle. Not only did she successfully defend her own marriage, but she also raised awareness among men who engaged in extramarital affairs and set an example for countless women. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.